Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. Controversy over school curriculum. The governor says a school board in Southern California may get fined for its decision. The board says some material is not appropriate for children. Last night at midnight, actors joined writers to strike over unfair wages and potential job losses. The strike is disrupting TV production. The heat wave is upon us. In Southern California, temperatures can reach the triple digits. We'll hear more on how one can stay safe and hydrated. This week, Governor Gavin Newsom said the state may step in to fine the Temecula school board for banning a book. But the Southern California-based school board says the materials are inappropriate for children. NTD's David Lam hears more from a board member.
The Temecula Valley Unified School District recently refused to adopt a certain curriculum for its district for concerns over children's education. However, there seems to be controversy and confusion over the matter. Governor Gavin Newsom posted to Twitter on Thursday saying,
"The state is moving forward in purchasing and procuring those social studies books. Your kids have the freedom to learn, and you have the freedom to access those books, the same books that hundreds of thousands of other kids throughout the state are accessing. So rest assured, we'll be sending those books down in very short order."
Newsom said the state will go as far as fining the school board members after reports said the board members decided to reject a textbook for mentioning Harvey Milk, a former San Francisco supervisor and assassinated gay rights activist. However, board president Joseph Komrosky replied, saying that the board did not ban a book at its May meeting, but instead, quote, determined not to adopt as curriculum a history social science program for district-wide use, which was part of a pilot study. Members were concerned about supplemental material that related to a 4th grade lesson about Harvey Milk, with Komrosky calling Milk a pedophile. Board trustee Jen Wiersma shared with NTD her thoughts.
I know as I speak as one trustee and not for the entirety of the board, but we have been looking at curriculum in our district, and it's an important talking point that parents are concerned about. Elected officials on a local level make really important decisions, and it's interesting to see the governor speaking into this because it's outside his purview.
Wiersma said the board went through a lengthy process to look at K-5 social studies and all the way to high school.
When Harvey Milk came up, there was pause for thought because we do know this was a historical figure that had contributions but also controversy surrounding it.
Wiersma said as a trustee, she wanted to have a variety of topics suitable for young students, saying the curriculum also included an activist group with alleged ties to NAMBLA, known to be a pedophilia organization.
When you bring it back to Temecula and you understand that parents want classrooms devoid of activism and controversy and divisive ideology, we are tasked to make that important decision.
The district has a proposed curriculum to be presented to the Board of Education on July 18th. In Santa Clara, California, David Lam, NTD News.
Hollywood actors joined the writers to strike at midnight last night. They're asking for an increase in pay and guarantee that their jobs would not be replaced by AI.
Hollywood actors went on strike at midnight Thursday after talks with studios broke down. They joined film and television writers who have been on picket lines since May, disrupting the production of shows and movies. Fran Drescher, former star of the Nanny TV show and the president of SAG-AFTRA, called the studio's responses to actors' concerns insulting and disrespectful.
You cannot change the business model as much as it has changed and not expect the contract to change too. We're not going to keep doing incremental changes on a contract that no longer honors what is happening right now with this business model that was foisted upon us.
Both SAG-AFTRA, Hollywood's largest union representing 160,000 film and television actors, and the Writers Guild of America are demanding increases in base pay and residuals in the streaming TV era, plus assurances that their work will not be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Well, number one, we're fighting for basic respect and protection for our members. That includes things like making sure that our members aren't abused by unfair provisions regarding artificial intelligence. They don't have their image and likeness and voice stolen from them through that method. Number two, making sure that they are not working in 2023 or in 2026 for less money in real dollar terms than they made in 2020.
The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history. That is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines.
Hollywood studios now face their first dual work stoppage in over 60 years, forcing them to halt many productions across the United States and abroad. The twin strikes will add to the economic damage from the writers' walkout, delivering another blow to an industry struggling with changes to its business. The strike, by roughly 11,500 writers, has sent late-night television talk shows into endless reruns, disrupted most production for the fall TV season, and stopped work on big-budget movies. A deadline to reach a new contract expired on July 12th. Officials said actors would join picket lines in New York and Los Angeles from Friday morning.
Twitter is facing another lawsuit, this time for allegedly refusing to pay at least $500 million in severance to thousands of laid-off employees.
On Wednesday, Twitter was sued for refusing to pay at least $500 million in promised severance to thousands of employees who were laid off after Elon Musk acquired the company. An employee filed the proposed class action in San Francisco federal court after she was laid off in January. She claims that under the severance plan created by Twitter in 2019, most workers were promised 2 months of their base pay plus 1 week of pay for each full year of service if they were laid off. According to the lawsuit, senior employees were owed 6 months of base pay. But the lawsuit alleges that Twitter only gave laid-off workers at most 1 month of severance pay, and many of them did not receive anything. Twitter laid off more than half of its workforce as a cost-cutting measure after Musk acquired the company in October. The lawsuit accuses Twitter and Musk of violating a federal law regulating employee benefit plans. But the company has said it has paid ex-employees in full. A pending lawsuit filed last month accuses Twitter of also failing to pay millions of dollars in bonuses it owes to remaining employees. Twitter has said the claims lack merit. The company is also facing a series of other lawsuits stemming from the layoffs that began last year, including claims that it targeted women and workers with disabilities. For some of these cases, Twitter has filed responses denying wrongdoing.
With the temperatures rising to triple digits in some SoCal areas this weekend, it's important to know how to keep yourself safe, protected, and out of danger during the heatwave takeover. NTD's Christina Corona tells us more.
With the heat wave forecast coming up within the next few days, it's important to know how to prepare, know what to avoid, and how to care for others during this extreme period of abnormally unsafe weather.
On Wednesday, officials from several state agencies and the National Weather Service held a media briefing about the extreme heat event expected later this week. Brian Ferguson, a deputy director at California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, tells us just how dangerous this heat wave can get.
One of the things I want to emphasize off the top of this presentation is that extreme heat is a killer. More than any disaster we face, we see more fatalities from heat. The state has actually activated phase 2 of our emergency extreme temperature response plan.
Ferguson also said cooling centers are open statewide, and a link to these cooling centers can be found on the Cal OES website that will be continuously updated throughout the day. Officials said this upcoming heat wave could rival some of the worst this area has ever seen. Courtney Carpenter from the National Weather Service shared just how hot it will be statewide.
We're expecting a significant round of heat that will steadily build across our state into the weekend and early next week, with some locations experiencing their hottest temperatures so far this summer. Some locations in Southern California deserts will see temperatures over 120 degrees.
But California isn't the only place experiencing the heat wave. Tom Frieders, a warning coordination meteorologist at the National Weather Service Phoenix, tells us that temperature records could be broken throughout the U.S. within the next few days.
So as this heat builds all across the southwest U.S., we're looking at potential daily records for high temperatures being broken from California to the west through Arizona all the way into West Texas. So it's a really significant expansion of the heat, and daily records could be broken. And it looks like the peak of the heat looks to be coming in Friday through next Monday, and that's when a lot of records will be in jeopardy. But temperatures are continuing to warm globally, and so year to year you're starting to see more and more extreme weather in general across the United States, but specifically for the southwest U.S., we're really concentrated on the heat.
According to ready.gov, if you are under an extreme heat warning, find air conditioning if possible. Avoid strenuous activities, watch for heat illness, wear light clothing, check on family members and neighbors, drink plenty of fluids, watch for heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke, and never leave people or pets in a closed car.
Beat the heat by keeping hydrated, seeking shelter in cool places, and taking it easy when these drastic temperatures soar. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's what we have for you when we come right back. One of San Francisco's iconic landmarks is celebrating its 125th birthday. The city held an event with music, food, and entertainment. Disney's CEO is staying a bit longer. Even though he returned from retirement last year, he has extended his contract to 2026. And a few animals are making headlines. A sea otter has been spotted stealing surfboards. Meanwhile, a pair of bear brothers are getting a second chance at life. These stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Zhang. As we heard before the break, another heat wave is coming. But people view the heat differently. Some venture to the Death Valley to see how hot they can withstand. Others, like the homeless, struggle to stay cool.
As uninviting as it sounds, Death Valley National Park beckons. Even when the already extreme temperatures are forecast to become more extreme, potentially topping records amid a U.S. heat wave, tourists come to this desert landscape on the California-Nevada border.
It's very hot. I mean, especially when there's a breeze, you would think that maybe that would give you some slight relief from the heat, but it just really does feel like an air blow dryer is just going back in your face.
It's hot, but the scenery is awesome.
Yeah, beautiful.
This weekend, temperatures could climb past 130 degrees, but even that likely won't deter some willing to brave the heat. Signs at hiking trails strongly suggest not to venture out after 10 a.m. local time, though nighttime temperatures will be over 90 degrees.
So what you should do is try and seek shade as soon as you can, especially if you are still feeling strong but stressed. Be self-aware and also watch the rest of the people in your group. If anybody's starting to experience dizziness, headaches, nausea, it might be time for the entire group to retreat, get back to a vehicle as soon as you can.
Death Valley National Park emphasizes self-reliance over expecting to be rescued. Rangers patrol the park roads and can assist motorists in distress, but there's no guarantee that tourists who get lost in the backcountry would get immediate aid.
If you are out there in the backcountry and you get into trouble, we're not going to know.
More than 1.1 million people visit the desert park annually. About 1/5 of the visitors come in June, July, and August. While tourists visit deserts to challenge the heat, the homeless are struggling to brace it. In Palm Springs, the city's highs were expected to be above 100 degrees, while other desert areas could reach 120 degrees. The city's homeless population is especially vulnerable to the high temperatures. According to official counts, nearly 450 homeless people live in the city, but there's only room for 20 people at its only overnight shelter. The rest must find shade or sleep in tents lining a golf course in a dry creek bed. According to Roman Ruiz, Palm Springs Homeless Services Coordinator, a permanent shelter is being built but won't open until next year.
It's tough. I don't know. I don't know how anyone can do it, really. I feel so bad, and yet there's not much I can do, and so it is really tough.
The heat was so hot yesterday. A few of the guys that are camped out here said that there was somebody that had a heat stroke, and possibly, I think they died.
Homeless resident Gerald Ford was one of the lucky ones allowed to sleep overnight in the air-conditioned temporary shelter.
I just use water, I basically just use water, as much as I can, and hit shade, and, the mall, wherever let you in, I'm going to McDonald's and taking a nap all day, Del Taco.
I pray for those who don't have shelter, that they will get shelter, and
they expect little relief overnight since temperatures could remain in the 80s. An excessive heat watch was in effect through Sunday for Los Angeles, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties.
Since its opening in 1898, the Ferry building in San Francisco has been the center of a transit hub connecting the whole Bay Area. However, San Francisco residents tell NTD's Sean Morgan it's more than just that.
We are here in San Francisco's Ferry building to celebrate their 125th anniversary. To celebrate, they're offering free youth ferry rides across the bay.
Before the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge and the Bay Bridge early in the 20th century, most people got to San Francisco via ferry. About 50 to 60 million people every year took ferry trips to or from San Francisco and really throughout the Bay. On a day like this, we would usually have about 8,000 passengers on our system. We're expecting 9,000 to 10,000 today, just as people take advantage of the free rides for kids and come over to celebrate an amazing accomplishment for the Ferry building.
In addition to the free youth rides, there is live music, free ice cream, and a proclamation from the mayor.
I love this event. The Ferry building is my favorite place in San Francisco. I am here 5 out of 7 days a week to either get a coffee or just walk around and sit and look at the water. We come to the farmers market every Saturday, so celebrating the 125 years is super significant. It really showcases what the Ferry building provides and what San Francisco has to offer as well.
I think the Ferry building represents, most importantly to San Franciscans, is resiliency. It's gone through so many different, identities. It was a burgeoning transit hub from 1898 until the 1930s. The bridges were built in the 1930s, so it sort of reinvented itself then. And then from the 1950s to the late 1980s, it was a mixed office space. And then, of course, the '89 quake changed everything. It took this double-decker freeway in front of the building down, and the Ferry building reinvented itself again as a beautiful marketplace that celebrates local foods and flavors.
We saw this advertised. We had to come because we're history buffs as well, and the history of San Francisco and all the historical buildings. I mean, this is like number one of the historical buildings, with the ferries and everything going on. So this was our number one destination when we heard that the 125th anniversary was coming. We're so happy. We're so happy we live here.
In San Francisco, Sean Morgan, NTD News.
Disney's CEO will be staying longer with the entertainment conglomerate. His contract has been extended to 2026.
Walt Disney's board on Wednesday extended CEO Robert Iger's contract by 2 years. The experienced leader who came out of retirement in 2022 battled long-term challenges to its film and television businesses. Iger returned to Disney as CEO in November 2022. Less than a year after he retired, he vowed to stay for 2 more years to restore the business while seeking a more durable replacement after the company pushed out Bob Chapek, Iger's hand-picked successor. He faces challenges on multiple fronts during a period of significant transition in entertainment and media. The streaming video business, once viewed as the future of media, continues to lose money. Terms of his contract include opportunity to receive an annual incentive bonus of 5 times his base salary. In his previous contract, he was entitled to an estimated $27 million per year in total compensation.
Earlier this week, we met a baby seal that surfs. Now let's take a look at a sea otter who steals surfboards in Northern California.
Video of a sea otter taking a board from a surfer off the coast of Santa Cruz circulated on social media on Tuesday. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and California Department of Fish and Wildlife say they are aware of the 5-year-old female southern sea otter. They say the marine animal exhibits unusual behaviors, including repeatedly approaching surfers and kayakers in the area. Due to increasing public safety risk, a team from the Fish and Wildlife Department and the Monterey Bay Aquarium attempted to capture the otter to examine her. They encourage people in and near sea otter habitats to keep a safe distance and never allow interactions with household pets.
And this last story is unbearably cute. 2 brother bears have reunited and are getting a second chance at life after losing their mother earlier this year. Let's meet the cubs.
2 young California black bear cubs are getting a second chance at the San Diego Humane Society's Ramona Wildlife Center. According to the San Diego Humane Society, the sibling bears were first discovered earlier this year near their deceased mother in the San Bernardino National Forest. They went on to explain that black bear cubs typically need to stay with their mothers for up to 17 months. So, at only 5 months old, the bear brothers were deemed too young to survive on their own. The first cub was rescued by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife on July 4th. The second, smaller cub was taken in a few days later on July 7th. The brothers are now reunited at the Ramona Wildlife Center, where they are housed in an indoor-outdoor medical facility. Caregivers have set up an environment with native plants and substrate for the bears to safely hone their instinctive abilities. According to the Humane Society, the bears will eventually move into a larger outdoor enclosure. The team says they hope to return the bears to the wild early next year.
All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You will find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share a news tip or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful weekend and stay cool.